Have you ever noticed how people slowly start pulling away mid-conversation? You're saying something, maybe even something important, but halfway through, their eyes dart toward their phone, their shoulders shift away, and their face locks into that polite, expression. They're not with you, they're just waiting for the right second to leave. And even though they're still standing there, you can feel it in your bones. You've already lost them. It used to happen to me all the time. I'd talk and people would fade. I'd walk away from conversations feeling confused, embarrassed, rejected, but not quite sure why. I thought maybe I was just socially awkward or too quiet or not confident enough. The pain of being silently dismissed was a constant companion. But one day it hit me hard. I was at a dinner party telling a story about something that had happened at work. Halfway through, someone across the table cut me off to change the subject, and no one stopped them. No one asked me to finish. No one even acknowledged it. I remember sitting there in silence, smiling like it didn't sting, but inside I felt small, invisible. That night I realized a painful truth. No one wants to hear you when your words are all about you. It sounds harsh, but it's true. People don't tune out because they're mean or impatient. They tune out because we make it hard to tune in. We speak to fill space, to feel heard, to feel important, but not necessarily to connect. And when people feel like we're not connecting with them, they quietly exit, even if their body stays in the room. So I did something most people don't do. I studied it. Not in some academic way, I studied real conversations. I paid attention to what made people lean in and what made them drift away. I watched the ones who could hold a room with a whisper and leave everyone hanging on every word. I started to see the patterns, the little things that changed everything. This was the turning point, studying real conversations. Here are the 3 core rules that transform the way I speak, and more importantly, the way people listen. Rule number 1, the silent killer of conversations, the need to be right. This one got me for years and I never saw it coming. See, I thought I was just adding value, correcting someone's misused word, clarifying a stat, pointing out the more accurate version of the story. It made me feel smart, precise, helpful. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When your goal is to be right, you make people feel wrong. And when people feel wrong, they stop listening. Not because you're technically incorrect, but because you just turned a human connection into a debate. Most conversations aren't meant to be won. They're meant to be felt. I remember talking to a friend who said, "I always forget if it's serotonin or dopamine that boosts motivation." My old self would have jumped in. Actually, it's dopamine that regulates motivation. But I caught myself. Instead, I said, "Right, brain chemicals are wild. I get them mixed up too." And just like that, the conversation continued. It deepened. People don't need a Wikipedia page. They need warmth. They need the freedom to speak without fear of being corrected like they're in school. You don't have to fake ignorance, but you do have to choose. Would you rather be right or be received? The irony is, once people feel safe, they're way more open to new ideas, including yours. This relentless pursuit of correctness, while seemingly harmless, subtly erects barriers between you and your audience. When someone is mid-sentence, perhaps sharing a personal anecdote or a tentative idea, and you interject with a factual correction, you're not just correcting a detail, you're interrupting their flow and, more importantly, their feeling. The message, however unintentional, is my knowledge is more important than your expression. This dynamic shifts the listener's focus from connecting with you to protecting their own ego. They become defensive, or worse, disengaged, deciding that the emotional cost of conversing with you outweighs the potential benefit. They might nod politely, but inwardly they've closed the door. True connection thrives on psychological safety, where people feel comfortable sharing thoughts, even half-formed ones, without fear of immediate judgment or correction. Consider the ripple effect of this habit. In professional settings, constantly correcting colleagues can stifle creativity and open discussion. Who wants to brainstorm new ideas if every suggestion is met with a, Technically, that's not quite right response. In personal relationships, it can lead to resentment and a reluctance to confide. Your partner might hesitate to share a story about their day if they anticipate you'll point out a minor inconsistency or a perceived misstatement. This isn't about promoting ignorance or avoiding intellectual rigor. It's about understanding the context and purpose of a conversation. Is this a formal debate or is it a human interaction? Most often, it's the latter. Learning to discern when being technically correct is crucial versus when it serves to alienate is a profound communication skill. It means choosing empathy over ego, connection over dominance. When you release the need to always be right, you open the door for genuine engagement, inviting others to participate rather than simply endure your presence. You become a conversational partner, not an argumentative opponent. Rule number 2. You're not boring, you're just not letting us in. The power of vulnerability. Most people who think they're bad at talking are actually too polished. You know the type. They tell a story that technically flows, hits all the right beats, has a clean punchline, but somehow no one reacts. Why? Because it feels rehearsed. There's no edge, no vulnerability, no moment where we go, oh, I've been there too. Here's the counterintuitive truth. What hooks people is not your highlight, it's your hesitation. I once watched a guy tell a story at a party about losing his job, but the moment that made everyone lean in, it wasn't the firing, it was the 5 seconds where he paused and said, honestly, I didn't tell anyone for 2 weeks. I felt ashamed like I was only valuable when I had a title. Boom. That pause, that crack in the armor, was everything, because that's where the room saw themselves in him. We don't bond over perfection. We bond over truth dressed as courage. So if you want to hold attention, don't polish your story. Bleed in it a little. Let the jagged edges show. The shakiness, the regret, the I don't know what I was thinking. That's what makes people stop scrolling, stop thinking about their to-do list, and actually feel you. And when people feel you, they follow you anywhere. This principle extends far beyond storytelling. It applies to everyday interactions, too. When you present a carefully constructed, flawless facade, you create a barrier. People sense the lack of authenticity, even if they can't articulate it. It's like looking at a perfectly photoshopped image. While aesthetically pleasing, it lacks the raw, relatable humanity that draws us in. True vulnerability is not about oversharing or airing all your dirty laundry. It's about showing up authentically, admitting when you don't know something, acknowledging a mistake, or sharing a genuine emotion that might not be perfectly comfortable. It's the slight tremble in your voice when discussing something deeply meaningful, the momentary lapse in composure that reveals genuine passion or concern. These are the moments when people lean in because they recognize a shared human experience. They see themselves in your struggles, your uncertainties, your imperfect journey. The fear of vulnerability often stems from a desire to be perceived as strong, competent, or in control. We worry that showing our weaknesses will make us seem less capable or that people will judge us. However, the opposite is often true. When you reveal a touch of vulnerability, you signal trust. You're saying, I trust you enough to show you this imperfect part of myself. This act of trust is reciprocated, creating a deeper bond. People don't just listen to your words, they connect with your humanity. They are drawn to the authentic, the real, the raw. In a world saturated with curated perfection, genuine vulnerability is a rare and powerful commodity. It's the key to unlocking true engagement, transforming passive listeners into active participants in your shared human story. When you dare to be imperfect, you give others permission to do the same, fostering an environment where real connection can flourish. Rule number 3. The vibe that repels people without you knowing. Emotional dissonance. You can say all the right words and still lose the room because of your vibe. I don't mean fake positive energy or being charismatic like a TED speaker. I mean something deeper. The unspoken emotion beneath your words. Think about this. Ever talk to someone who sounded upbeat, but you could tell they were actually anxious? Or someone who kept nodding, but you felt like they were judging you silently? That's emotional dissonance, and people are incredibly good at detecting it, usually subconsciously. What I didn't realize for years is that your energy tells people how to feel before your words do. If you come into a conversation needing to prove yourself, they'll feel tension. If you speak with hidden resentment, they'll feel a wall. But if you show up with calm presence, even if you don't say much, people feel safe. And safety is the holy grail of communication, because once people feel safe, they open up, they listen, they connect. Here's a trick I learned. Before you speak, check in with your emotional posture. Are you tense? Defensive? Trying to win? Take a breath. Let go of the performance. Be where your feet are. That alone will shift the entire vibe. And when your vibe matches your intention, when your energy says, I'm here with you, not above you, people listen. Not because they have to, but because they want to. This concept of vibe encompasses far more than just surface level positivity. It's about the subconscious signals you transmit through your posture, your facial micro expressions, the quality of your eye contact, and the underlying tension or relaxation in your body. It's the atmosphere you create just by being present. For example, if you enter a conversation already feeling overwhelmed or rushed, even if your words are polite, your rushed cadence, averted gaze, or fidgeting hands will convey a sense of unavailability. The listener will pick up on this "I'm too busy for you" energy and disengage, even if they don't consciously label it. Similarly, if you harbor a hidden agenda, perhaps you want something from the other person but are trying to mask it, your nonverbal cues will subtly betray your true intentions. People are remarkably attuned to incongruence between what is said and what is felt. This emotional dissonance creates distrust, making it difficult for the listener to relax and truly absorb your message. Cultivating a positive vibe isn't about putting on a performance. It's about genuine internal alignment. It involves practicing mindfulness and self-awareness before and during conversations. Before engaging, take a moment to center yourself. What emotion are you truly feeling? Is it serving the interaction you desire? If you notice tension or negative emotions, acknowledge them, take a deep breath, and consciously try to release them. This doesn't mean suppressing genuine feelings, but rather ensuring that your emotional state isn't inadvertently sabotaging your communication. When your internal state is calm, open, and genuinely interested, that energy radiates outward, making others feel at ease. They sense that you are present, authentic, and not demanding anything from them beyond genuine connection. This creates a psychological safe space, the ideal environment for authentic listening and meaningful exchange. Your vibe, therefore, is not merely a superficial aspect of communication. It is a fundamental determinant of whether your words will truly resonate or simply fall on deaf ears. When people still don't hear you, the ultimate lesson. Even when you follow every rule, when you're vulnerable, present, and deeply engaged, some people still won't hear you. They'll be distracted, emotionally closed off, or simply not the kind of person who knows how to hold space for someone else. And that's okay, because being heard isn't always about what you say, it's about who you say it to. Here's the twist. Sometimes we chase the wrong ears. We try to earn attention from people who aren't capable of giving it. And in doing so, we forget the one voice that always needs to listen. Our own. Because the real tragedy isn't when others don't hear us. It's when we stop listening to ourselves. Here's what I've learned the hard way. Being heard isn't about being louder, it's about being truer. It's not about crafting the perfect story, it's about sharing the real one. It's not about demanding space, it's about creating connection. And when you speak from that place of honesty, presence, and care, you stop trying to earn attention. You invite it. You attract the kind of people who don't just stay in the conversation, but remember it, cherish it, carry it with them. Because the truth is, people do want to hear you. They're just tired of hearing what everyone else is saying. So show them something different. Speak not to impress, but to connect. Listen not to respond, but to understand. And bring the kind of energy that makes people feel alive. Because when they feel alive around you, they'll want to come back again and again. In the end, it's not about being interesting, it's about being interested. That's the voice people remember. That's the voice worth listening. This final crucial point encapsulates a fundamental shift in perspective. Our innate desire to be heard often leads us to focus externally. How can I make them listen? But the ultimate power lies in an internal transformation. When you prioritize self-awareness and genuine connection, the need for external validation diminishes. You realize that your value isn't contingent on everyone's immediate receptiveness. This understanding liberates you from the exhausting cycle of chasing approval and allows you to communicate from a place of authenticity and integrity. The concept of chasing the wrong ears is particularly potent. We've all been there, desperately trying to engage someone who is clearly disengaged, whether due to their own preoccupations, emotional unavailability, or simply a lack of interest in the topic. Continuing to pour energy into such interactions is not only unproductive, but also self-defeating. It can leave you feeling drained, rejected, and questioning your own worth. Learning to discern when to disengage graciously from such one-sided efforts is a powerful act of self-preservation. It's about respecting your own energy and time and redirecting your efforts towards those who are genuinely receptive and willing to reciprocate. Moreover, the emphasis on listening to yourself is a cornerstone of effective communication. This means understanding your own needs, boundaries, and emotional state. If you are constantly speaking out of a need for validation to prove a point or to fill an uncomfortable silence, you are not truly listening to your inner voice. This often results in communication that feels forced, inauthentic, and ultimately unfulfilling. When you take the time to listen to your own thoughts and feelings, to understand your true intentions before speaking, your words become more aligned with your authentic self. This internal coherence creates an outward resonance that people instinctively trust and are drawn to. Ultimately, the journey to becoming a truly heard individual is one of profound self-discovery and intentional practice. It means shedding the communication habits that serve the ego and embracing those that foster genuine human connection. It's about moving from a performance mindset to a presence mindset. When you commit to being true, vulnerable, and present, you not only transform your conversations, but also cultivate a deeper, more meaningful relationship with yourself. And it is from this place of self-listening and self-respect that you can truly offer a voice that others will not just hear, but cherish.